Have you ever been on a walk outdoors, seen a deer, wondered what the daily life of a deer was like? It's important to learn about different diseases that affect deer, the deer population, especially if you're a hunter or a consumer of the meat. Personally, I've seen the effects of what diseases can affect deer. There's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of other factors that can affect the deer population too. Um, Today I'm going to talk about epizootic hemorrhage disease, also known as EHD. Um, I've talked to a lot of people about it. I've seen it a lot in our area, and today we're going to take a deeper look into it and see how it affects the white-tailed deer population, and what roles we can do to help figure out more about the disease. What is EHD? It's spread by infected midges or tiny flies, also known as no-see-ums. They live around mud beds, around ponds, lakes, wherever it's wet, mud on shorelines. EHD, it does not spread deer to deer. It's not a contact disease. Drier years are worst for EHD because less water there is, more ponds dry up, all the midges and tiny flies have got to gather in smaller areas, which means there's more of them, and it's a lot easier for deer to get infected. There's no treatment for this. There's none at all. You can't really do nothing about it. But the first frost of the year will kill all the midges off that will harm the deer. The disease normally takes place in early summer, late fall. EHD is a very serious disease with a very negative effect. EHD targets the lung and heart tissue, causing it to weaken and eventually burst after they've been bitten by a midge. There are some symptoms, but kind of hard to tell. It's swelling in the head, neck, eyes. Every now and then you can get a cracked hoof from it. EHD causes you to become dehydration. There's a lot of the symptoms are dehydration and fever, and when deer decide to combat the fever, they go to water, and once they reach water, they drink water, and within 8 to 36 hours after they've been infected with this disease, they're found dead most of the time. But under very few circumstances, a deer that will survive EHD is immune to it for the rest of its life. According to RadioIowa.com, EHD can kill up to 25% of a single deer herd. In Monona County for 2022, that is where I'm from in Iowa, there is going to be no doe tags this year for deer hunting due to the dramatic deer population loss that we had this year. DNR's intention of this is by not killing does, you'll have more offspring and more deer in general, so they're hoping to get the population back up. I talked to our local DNR officer, Gary Cisco, and he said with what he's seen and how many dead deer he's found, he thinks it'll take 5 years to get the deer population back to the numbers that they were. According to deeranddeer.com, EHD is not a very large mass disease. It's a local disease. It'll affect local parts, so it can affect one part of the community but not the other. And this really concerns me as a hunter because I don't know, it kind of scares me on the deer meat I want to eat because I don't know if it is EHD positive or not. But doing some research into it, I found out that you can figure out if your deer has EHD by sending blood samples off to get the blood sample looked at. But once the deer's dead and the carcass is ate up, there's really no way of telling if it had EHD or not. But you have a pretty good guess when you find them around water. And with that being said, it was only about 1,400 deer reported dead in the state of Iowa this year with EHD. But with EHD hitting in the late summer, early fall, you can't, you really aren't going out looking for deer at that time. So by the time you find a lot of dead deer, it's down to the carcass to where you can't tell if it's EHD or not. But we have a good idea that it is, and it's been really affecting our deer population. But it really concerns me as a hunter of knowing what our population's getting down to.